Hello and welcome to another episode of That's Absurd, Please Elaborate, a show where we get absurd questions, and then we elaborate on the answers.
Oh, that's what the title means.
I'll just let Julian have a minute. If you want to send us a question that we can absurdly elaborate on, he's doing the head explosion thing silently by himself in an audio medium. We're still learning how to podcast. If you want to send us a question,
120 episodes in, we will figure out that they cannot see us.
Go down into the show notes and send us a question. You can send it to us all sorts of different ways. If you want to vote for questions that we answer, go to the Patreon. That's relevant specifically in this episode because both of our questions come from Patreon, which is pretty awesome.
We owed them, so we're doing a double header of Patreon selected questions, and that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a good pulse on what they're going to pick, and then I'm always wrong.
I love that. That's actually better than you want, I think.
Yeah, it's true. Although it also means I do not understand our best supporters, our most faithful supporters. I do not have a handle on what they actually want. So mixed bag, but still exciting.
Maybe they're just trying to keep you guessing, which, based on what I have understood of our audience, seems correct. I'm Trace. I'm a science communicator. That's Julian. He's also a science communicator. And this week, Julian has the first question that we're going to answer.
This is exciting.
Julian, what's up?
So this question, as mentioned before, was selected by our patrons on Patreon. Ooh. And it comes from Art, who asks, what is the best way to secretly communicate with another person in the same room?
Oh.
Ooh. Right? Art elaborates.
Secretly? How secret? Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to, go.
He says, imagine traditional technologies, like in-ear radios. They are not allowed. They're not enough to avoid getting caught while secretly talking to your friend. You need the most secret way of communication, something very difficult or impossible to find out about. To narrow it down, the method should be suitable for situations when you're in the same room or otherwise close to each other but cannot communicate in traditional ways. It could be something that today's technology can't reach yet, or it could be something surprisingly simple. I'm sure this will solve many things. Art, I love this because I have kind of a secret interest in cryptography. I don't think I'm smart enough to crack codes like Alan Turing, those are really smart people who figure out how to do this.
They're good at puzzles.
Yeah, I like puzzles, but every time I watch a video on how people figure out hidden messages, I'm I would have never, ever come up with this, right?
I want you to give yourself a little bit of credit. As a former employee of escape rooms, you have seen just how terrible most humans are at solving puzzles.
That's true. I'm much better, I will say definitively, than the average person at solving puzzles. The thing about escape rooms is we desperately want you to solve the puzzle, right?
Yeah, the puzzle was built to be solved.
It is, we make it, honestly, we think, as easy as possible for you to figure this out, right? If we lock you in there and you spend an hour on the first puzzle and you don't get out and you're all upset, it's not fun for you and it's not fun for us, watching and trying to help you. It's incredibly frustrating, right? And even then, most people, when I used to work in an escape room and put them in, they were terrible.
Okay, really quick sidebar. What's the craziest thing that you saw in your escape room?
The thing I've learned about putting people in escape rooms is most people just don't listen. Just to the most obvious instructions. We give you a spiel beforehand. For example, for safety reasons, there's a fire extinguisher in the room in case there's a fire. And people have, on multiple occasions, pulled up the fire extinguisher during gameplay and gone, well, this must be part of the puzzle, and then spray it on stuff. And we're no. But my favorite was one room was so long and elaborate and multi-staged that there were 2 fire extinguishers in it by regulation. And a team set off the first one.
Oh, no.
Nothing was achieved. And so they set off the second one, and we were stop!
You had to come on the radio. Excuse me, no, don't. Don't do
What
that.
is the
Don't just set off
second
the
fire
fire
extinguisher going to do that the first one didn't? That one always stuck with me. Like, what was happening in these people's brains? Anyway.
That is not a secret way to communicate. I'll tell
No.
you.
No, we're trying to be overt. It's all fun and games, really. It's all pantomime. But there are instances where people have had to communicate secretly where, if they get caught and their code is cracked, it's not like oh, you rascal, we solved your puzzle. It's like, well, you're going to get executed now kind of thing, And I'm, of course, talking about instances like spycraft, right? It's very important to be able to send messages. Spying is all about information. Right?
Yeah, we think of it as like James Bond, and you're drinking drinks and you're running around and you're shooting guns.
Stuff.
But like 99% of the time, it's like covert diplomacy. You're like, I'm trying to learn all the information I can so that when we come to the table to negotiate, I have an advantage.
Yes, exactly. Or like I'm ready for some move you might be plotting in secret, right? An invasion or something like that. It's less about shooting conveniently placed explosive barrels and more about, hey, what are you up to? What are you up to over there?
It's less about running around a dam half-sized with a golden, handgun, say.
Yes, when you pick Oddjob, the character Oddjob, to irritate all your friends.
I think we all know that the house rules are, it's either everyone a golden gun and it's fun, all knives, or no Oddjob. There's so many house rules of no Oddjob.
No Oddjob.
No Oddjob.
Cheating. Also, wasn't he like a normal-sized man in the movies?
In the movie, he wasn't that short.
I don't remember him being particularly short, making the one Asian playable character in the game shorter than everybody else. Come on, Rare, the developer of GoldenEye in 1995 or whatever. Come on. Anyway, but yes, more about finding secrets and then secretly conveying those secrets
to other secret people.
To your side, to other secret people, than driving a tank through St. Petersburg with a statue of Peter the Great on top of it. Right.
Honestly, though, both are fun, but for different reasons. But for different reasons.
Everybody's got a different idea of a good day out.
If you can successfully pass a note in class, you are spying.
Yes, you're a spy.
High school girls, middle school girls would be amazing at this.
Yes. So spycraft has a long, rich tradition, right? As you might imagine, as long as there have been like people plotting things in secret and other people wanting to know about those things being plotted in secret, like that's basically spying. Yeah. And so I found a few books by Christine McCrackis, who has since passed away, but she was a professor of history at Georgia Tech, and she wrote multiple books on espionage and invisible ink. She's very interested in spycraft, and she has some interesting little bits of history that may be indicative of where we should go with our ability to send a secret message to Art. And sorry, I've got something in my eye.
Is it a secret message? Are you blinking a secret message at me? Is that what's happening? What?
No, the lights are really bright. Anyway, so
you're blinking a secret message, aren't you?
Christy McCrackis' book, Espionage. Sorry.
Is Timmy called in the well? I don't know.
Concise History goes into the history of spycraft. And at one point, she talks about people who wrote with invisible ink. I thought this was interesting. Yeah. On eggshells.
Oh, whoa. I mean, I've done the invisible ink that you do as a kid, lemon juice on paper, and then you heat it up and it becomes, visible and stuff like that. But on an eggshell. Yeah.
In the Renaissance, it was attributed to one guy, Giovanni Battista della Porta, who came up with this method of sending a message on a hard-boiled egg. Well, not on a hard-boiled egg, inside a hard-boiled egg.
What?
Yeah. So he wrote about using alum, which is like a chemical compound that has like aluminum and sulfur, and vinegar to create some sort of ink that you could write on an eggshell, and then you boiled the egg, and it would erase the ink off the outside of the egg. But because an eggshell is porous, the message would seep through and imprint itself on the egg inside. And then when you eat the egg and peel it, you get a little hidden message.
That's amazing. Also, should you be eating it then?
I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, you got to dispose of the evidence, right?
Know. But yes, this evidence won't self-destruct. You have to eat it.
Yeah. Then it comes out in the poop and it's still visible. You're like, oh no, what do we do?
People are putting the pieces of poop together to be like, we can figure this out.
So Macracus, though, said that she could not recreate that. She worked with a color chemist. She tried to actually do the whole egg thing. Couldn't replicate it.
Oh,
so,
man.
Is this something that actually happened? Or is this another one of those ancient technologies that like, oh, somehow the ancients figured it out, but we, with our modern understanding of chemistry, can't? I lean more toward it probably didn't happen then. If we can't figure it out today, it seems unlikely that it ever happened at all. Still a cool idea. But if you want to get more reliable on the history of spycraft and methods of espionage used, more recent history, we actually have better documentation of it. And Macracus writes about one of my favorite characters, Sir Francis Walsingham. Have you ever heard of this man?
No, not that I know of.
It's probably delightful to him that you have not heard of him. People who knew him said that he was a man who knew everyone and was known by none. He was the spy master to Queen Elizabeth in 16th century England. And he is credited with developing a lot of the elements of modern espionage. Now, funny enough, because he was secretive about it, he didn't really pass them on. We kind of had to relearn them. But he was instrumental in basically keeping Queen Elizabeth and the Protestant Church of England in power during his time. So for those who don't know, Church of England split off from the Catholic Church, and they had a big fight about it for a long time.
Yeah.
And kind of still do. But anyway, so Walsingham was a Protestant, and so was Queen Elizabeth, and they wanted to make sure the Catholics didn't retake power in England. Now, there was a rival to the throne. The cousin of Queen Elizabeth was Mary, Queen of Scots. If you've ever heard of her. She was basically kicked out of Scotland. She was arrested when she got to England because they were worried that, she might try and somehow dethrone Queen Elizabeth. And so she was locked up. And at first they were pretty lax about her being able to get out and talk to friends and whatnot. But, oh, Jesus, sorry.
You're blinking a secret message again.
Stop it. I have like allergies or something. So Mary, at first, when she was under house arrest, she was allowed to go out. She was allowed to communicate with others. But, jeez. Do you
want to go wash your eye?
I'm okay. Okay, so she was kept under house arrest, and she was allowed to go out and see other people. But eventually they realized, well, she's going to be talking to people who are going to be conspiring against us, so they keep her fully under lock and key. But she still managed to pass notes to her supporters. She would, write them in invisible ink, fold them up, hide them in objects like slippers or mirrors, and then somebody sympathetic to her would smuggle them out, and she'd get the message to her followers, right? And Sir Francis Walsingham was all over that. He was ready for exactly this kind of thing, and so he was intercepting her messages, and he discovers a plot that the French and the Spanish are cooking up to invade England and have Mary's followers rise up and put Mary on the throne and depose Queen Elizabeth. And so when this happens, of course, they take diplomatic action. They kick out the Spanish ambassador from England, and they also put Mary under a more strict house arrest. They put her in a manner that had a Protestant jailer who kept a very strict watch on her, and she was not allowed to send any sort of messages in or out. But Mary's followers still found a flaw in the system because this manor, Chartley, would still get beer shipments in because beer was kind of like water, basically. Everybody was drinking beer all the time.
Couldn't necessarily drink the water. It's not like they had water treatment systems and stuff.
Yeah, beer was the water treatment system, right? They figured out, hey, we can smuggle messages in the beer casks. If we put it through the old bung hole, the hole on the side that you put the bung in, right? I know the 80s slang has ruined us when it comes to the word bung hole. But anyway, it's a real thing. And so they started putting secret messages inside a waterproof box, and the message would be in a cipher code, so just like a simple replacement, numbers and letters for other numbers and letters. You put it in a box, write in invisible ink too. You put it in the bung hole, and it floats to the top of the cask, and then when the cask gets inside the manor, remove it, you got the box right there. Now, I do have one small gripe with this whole system, which is, was the invisible ink necessary?
Like in case they found the box?
I'm just thinking, if I were inspecting casks of beer sent to a prisoner who was already under house arrest because she tried once to depose the current Queen of England.
Right.
And I found a waterproof box inside, and I opened this box, and there was just what seemed like a blank piece of paper.
Yeah, okay, I see where you're going.
You know what I mean?
I don't think Aaron Aronson in this case be like, my goodness, look at this box with this one piece of paper in it.
Right?
I ain't seen a paper since you bought me mud hot with my 3 sticks. But that piece of paper had at least an X on it when I signed it.
This piece of paper. Well, there's nothing. I imagine Aaron Aronson more as like the jailer who's in charge of inspecting. Yeah. Well, there's nothing to see here. It's just an innocent piece of paper at the top of the cask. All right, Mary, go on then. Have your beer.
Have your beer, Mary. And here's your paper, too.
Yeah, here's your meaningless scrap of paper.
You can take this blank paper we found in here, and you can color on it.
Yeah, that's good for you, right? Get a little enrichment, Mary, Queen of Scots.
Enrichment. Yeah, I see your point. Your point is
just
taken.
Saying,
yes.
Like,
maybe a layer too far. Once they find the waterproof box, they're probably going to be like, somebody's sending messages again, ain't you, Mary?
Seems
I'm
extra
throw this box right in the fire. I will. Right?
So, again, pretty clever, but Walsingham is all over this once again. He was bribing the brewer who was, bringing the beer casks in. And the brewer would hand over the message before they would ship the beer in.
This guy is great.
They would unseal it, invisible ink it, read it, decipher it, and then they'd reseal it, right? Because you don't want Mary to catch on that you're reading all of her messages. Yeah, you're reading the
information.
And so by doing this, Walsingham discovered another plot to murder Elizabeth and put Mary on the throne. So Walsingham forged a message saying to Mary, like, hey, by the way, who are the conspirators again? Because they weren't named in the messages he decoded. So they just added something there that was like, yeah, hey, the people were planning to do this murder again.
I can't remember their names.
It's escaping me. Like, what? Like, this is so crazy. But like,
flew right out of my brain.
What were they called again? Like, what were their names and like, where do they live?
Like, their phone numbers or like email, something I can find.
Nuts. It's basically like a 16th century phishing scheme,
That's great.
Like with
That's
a PH. Really... Like,
wait, so Mary, Queen of Scots opens the waterproof box inside of the bunghole with the invisible message, decodes the invisible message, and it says, "Help! I'm a prince of Nigeria."
Yeah. I need your help.
I need $5,000, but I'll give you $5 million.
I totally want to overthrow the Queen of England too. Just tell me, like, the 6 people I need to contact.
Can you please tell me? I'll give you $5 million once I'm free.
Exactly.
And at the bottom, it just says, forward this to 3 friends or you'll have bad luck for 10 years.
I mean, we laugh, but so much of this is rooted in psychological manipulation, right? Like scamming, and I would say a lot of spycraft too. And that was one of the things that Walsingham was famous for. It had a very adept understanding of like what made people tick and what people would do. And he would use this to his advantage. So anyway, obviously all the conspirators get caught. Yeah. They get tortured. They get hanged. And then Mary gets beheaded. So
there's a lot of media made about this whole interaction.
The invisible ink inside the beer cask method, that's a no-go, apparently. If you're stuck in a room and you only have a beer cask and a piece of paper and a waterproof box, historically it hasn't worked out. I think part of the problem might have been using a thing that people are okay with looking inside. Because one way of sending message historically has been inside of dead animals.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
I mean, basically, yeah. If your message is the future of the galactic empire or the downfall of it, that's a good place to smuggle
one or
something.
The other. Kind of both. Yeah. Depending on the perspective. Depends on what
side he chooses. Depends on how convincing the emperor's argument is, during the climactic scene.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, people throughout history, like one Greek king had sent messages to Persia hidden inside the carcasses of animals. They'd sew them up again, and then somebody disguised as a hunter would like carry them over the border. I would assume that they would then take the message out and just like walk with it in their pocket to the
once
person
they were in a
trying to
safe
see.
place.
Because,
Yeah.
I don't know how long you want to transport a dead animal across Persia. By the time it gets to the emperor, it'll be suspicious that you have this rotting carcass with you still. But anyway.
Be like, no, there's a message in his gullet.
No, it's fine. It's just a present.
Just let me pull out this knife, enemy of my people.
Okay. But more recently, even like in the 50s and 60s, the CIA were using dead pigeons and rats. They would hollow out their guts, create like a space inside the cavity and stick like a message or money or spy gear in there and then sew them back up. They would even put fake rubber guts inside to like cover up what they were hiding, so if something did disembowel it still just looks like guts, Although to keep scavengers from disemboweling it, they would also hit them with a dash of hot sauce.
You're kidding.
No, I'm dead serious. This is according, again,
amazing.
To Makrakis. This is a thing the CIA would do, which makes sense, right? I mean, hot sauce.
Yeah.
Chili pepper is a deterrent for animals.
That's why they evolved.
That's why
exactly.
it exists, right? So yeah, if you leave your dead pigeon on the side of the road and throw a little Tabasco on there, then you can make sure the person that you want to pick it up, well, at least a person will pick it up, right? And then maybe it'll be some weirdo who's like, spicy pigeons again. I'm so lucky. And then bite into it. Which again,
I hope that happened at least once. Just one time.
The crazy uncle who keeps eating roadkill who's like, I'm telling you, the pigeons are spicy.
Janice, we've got dinner figured out.
The pigeons in this town, they actually would be in like Russia somewhere, right? So it'd be like, oh, the pigeons, I don't know why, but they have a certain kick to them. They're so good.
These pigeons, they are so spicy.
It's also filled with money.
I also found this paper inside a waterproof box.
But it's
not
just,
suspicious at all.
Not just a strange piece of paper. Pigeon must have eaten paper. Which also, I think, brings up another issue. And that is, how do you go and collect the dead pigeon or rat with a message without looking like a suspicious weirdo, right?
Maybe that's the point. You dress up as a suspicious weirdo and you go pick up dead things around town, and one of them has a message.
Yeah, just that guy known for collecting dead pigeons for whatever reason.
It's a pigeon guy. I mean, when I lived in San Francisco, there was a guy who used to ride my bus. He was the rat guy. He had a rat on his shoulder every day, and he would feed it little things, and it was his pet rat. You live in a big city. There's always a guy. There's
flawlessly in San Francisco. Yeah.
Dead pigeon guy.
Yeah.
That's just a guy.
Or it would be like, I'm imagining like Ivan, the janitor at the nuclear missile facility. Who also collects
dead pigeons.
Dead pigeons in his spare time.
He takes them and he brings them home.
Nobody knows Ivan's like a double agent, but really everybody just thinks he's the weird janitor who collects pigeons.
You're like, I don't know what he does with him. He must have either very nice pillow or very stinky apartment.
His house is nightmare.
And then somebody else chimes in with the very cool Russian meme, ¿Por qué no los dos? Russians can speak Spanish too, okay?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, sure, of course.
Why not?
Ivan, the janitor at the Russian nuclear research facility / weird pigeon collector.
I love it.
Me too. Okay. But let's say you don't have the resources of the CIA, right? If you're locked up in this room, you don't have a dead pigeon to hand and some fake rubber guts or something like that, right? I started realizing maybe the spycraft scenario wasn't the most realistic approach to tackle Art's question. And so I thought about who is going to be under scrutiny in, a life or death situation possibly, but without really having any resources, any sort of backing, and still need to figure out a way to send secret messages. And where my mind goes is prisoners of war. I
was thinking Napoleon. So,
okay, sort of. Yeah, I mean,
he's a prisoner of war. He's prisoned on an island in Elba. He had to send secret messages. It's not actually that different from what we were just talking about. But I was thinking they're both prisoners of war, so I get what you mean. He
sends a secret message using a naive sailor who's about to get betrothed, right? And then, he gets thrown in prison, and then his best friend actually marries... I'm describing the plot of Count of Monte Cristo, if it wasn't obvious.
What a classic.
Classic.
Although, I'm telling you, if you haven't read it, audience, just read the abridged version.
Yeah,
I really love Dumas. I think
pages.
It's 1,300 pages, and I would say 1,000 of those pages are describing what everyone is wearing, what all of the rooms look like. It's just a lot of very heavy detail.
You needed an editor.
It's great. You get really painting a picture, Dumas, but if you just want the story, abridged is probably fine.
Right. Okay, so yeah, Napoleon's one example, or, prisoners of war during the Second World War, First World War were also people that I looked to, because by this point we had kind of advanced cryptography and they needed to figure out ways to send messages without them being decoded. So there are letters that, were sent during the Second World War, one from like a POW named John Pryor. He was captured during the Dunkirk evacuation. His ship ran aground while they were trying to get, British troops that were trapped at the French port of Dunkirk out before the Nazis came. So he spent basically the entire war in a POW camp, and he was sending messages to his family, and they just seemed like ordinary mundane notes about like, oh, we planted these seeds and now they're growing, and this guy at the camp is nice and blah, 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 blah. We only decrypted hidden messages within the notes 70 years later.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that's, people working in the academic space who decrypted it. When he was sending them, British intelligence knew the cipher and knew how to decode it. But he was sending messages where the first letters of words in certain sentences would be the cryptographic key to unlocking a grid of letters and numbers and getting all this information. And the letters that contained a secret message were marked with like a special marking that would differentiate them from like an ordinary letter, So his family that had all these letters in their possession, they knew that something was up with these letters, but they couldn't figure it out until they went to a local university and had a mathematician crack the code.
That's so cool.
And there would be information about, POWs at the camp with news to share, or they were collecting information from the Germans. Sometimes they would chat up German guards about getting a bit of a friendly ribbing contest. Like, the British aircraft are the best. And the Germans would be like, are you kidding? The Messerschmitt Bf 109 can do this and that. And it's so much better. And then they just take notes and be like, thank you very much, and then send it back. Oh, what? Oh, it can? Oh, thank you. Again, the psychological aspect of spycraft is important.
Can you say that closer into my collar?
Yeah. British soldiers did it. Germans were doing it too. German soldiers would use microdots, which was like a picture of a secret message that was shrunk down to a millimeter. So literally small enough to be a period in a sentence, or like a dot on an I. Right?
Wow.
And then send the message or receive the message, get it, blow up that dot, and get a whole hidden message within it. So that's something the Germans were using. And you could hide microdots like on a letter, right? Or you could hide it in your clothing somewhere or under a fingernail. They were so tiny that you could smuggle messages out that way. Later on, during the Vietnam War, American soldiers at the infamous prison that was known as the Hanoi Hilton devised their own code to communicate with each other, called the TAP code. And it's pretty simple, right? Because these guys were starting from scratch. They didn't have like an agreed on, here's how we're all going to communicate with each other, if and when we get shot down. So four of them came up with this system of a 5x5 matrix of the alphabet. And they replaced K with C. So get the alphabet down from 26 letters to 25. And also, I support just getting rid of K in general. I think C is a much more versatile letter that can do K's job. I don't know what K is doing.
Gee.
Yeah, I know. Big statement there, right?
Yeah, that's pretty serious stuff that you're just going to throw that out there after we've been making fun of royals and spies and all these other things. You're just going to say you can eliminate a whole letter of the alphabet?
Chopping K out. Yeah, we don't need it. We don't. 25 is nice. It fits on a 5x5 grid. So they replaced K with C, and then they would use X to mark the end of a sentence, right? And so they taught it to each other, and they started tapping away messages. And at one point, everybody inside this place knows the code, all of the American prisoners. And so one POW, John Bliss, described the building as sounding like a den of runaway woodpeckers, just everybody tapping out these codes. And it works very simply. It's a 5x5 grid, so you do two sets of taps. The first one, however many numbers, that's which row you're looking in. And then the second set of numbers is the column.
Julian.
Right? Yeah.
I too had to use T9 as a youth. So as an elder millennial, this just sounds like when you're typing on a cell phone and you're like, well, I got to hit C. So I have to hit the number 1 3 times. And then I have to hit A. So I have to hit the number 1 again 1 times. And then I have to hit T. So I have to,
So they devised this code. I don't know if the guards ever figured it out, but they would just use it conversationally with each other. Like they got so good at it that they could communicate little messages. And then at a certain point, they're just tapping for fun, just to keep morale up, because people in this prison camp were infamously abused and isolated, right? And humans need connection with each other. Even though they're at risk, if they get caught sending messages, like they might be further tortured and abused, they would send little messages back and forth to each other like GN, ST, DL, BBB.
Oh.
Which is good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
that's cute.
So that's an option, Art, the tap code. Or, of course, there's the tried and true classic Morse code. And there is an example of a POW at the Hanoi Hilton sending a message out via Morse code that he blinked.
You've been blinking a message this whole time, you jerk.
Caught on way too fast. I would have been absolutely tortured. But yes, Jeremiah Denton Jr. did an interview with a Japanese journalist, and the purpose was to show like, oh, everything's going fine, and don't you actually think the American cause in the war is lost, and it's not a good one anyway? And of course he was, a soldier, so he's giving diplomatic answers. He's not saying that he like disavows the United States or anything. But while he's conducting this interview, he blinks out in Morse code torture to let people watching know that people at this prison camp were being tortured. Yeah, to communicate that out at great personal risk. And so, yes, inspired by that, I have been attempting to communicate via Morse code secretly and pretty immediately failed, it seems like.
Well,
I was a bit too obvious with it.
Context.
Although I did send you a secret message. I think I did it about 5 times while we were talking.
Okay. What did you message? Do it again.
Hold on. I have an audio file. I sent you this.
That's a jam. That's a bop.
It is a bop. There, when I was blinking it, I'm like, oh, it's got a little bit of a rhythm to it.
It's got a rhythm to it.
Morse code for secret message.
Okay, that's excellent.
So you literally said you're sending a secret message, and I was doing
right.
Everything in my power to be like, oh my God, he nailed it. I'm exactly sending a secret message.
Yeah,
and the secret message is secret message. So Art, let this be a lesson to you that there is a risk, no matter how good your secret communication technique is, anytime you have to transmit anything, there is a risk of it being intercepted and decoded and you being found out. There's, ways to improve the security. I know I made fun of them writing it in invisible ink when it's already a very suspicious note. But if you think about it, if they didn't know the chemistry of the invisible ink and how to reveal the letters, that is an added layer of security, an added precaution that they were taking. But I do think that methodology is less effective because once you find the box in the beer cask, it's pretty obvious something is up. The later methods like the POWs were using, like sending messages in innocuous looking letters, I think is probably the best way to go. The communication that has another layer to it. Like they know you're communicating, but you seem to be saying nothing interesting when really there's more valuable information hidden within it, is probably what you want to do. And if you can figure out a way where both sides know what the cipher is, like what you're actually trying to communicate, so it doesn't take 70 years to crack, then you can have an effective communication. But if that's not established beforehand somehow, then you're going to have to probably figure out something impromptu, and it's much riskier.
You got to find another person in the room who shares your favorite TV show and then go full Dharman Congelata Tanagra. And just everything is a reference to the TV show that you love. And you're just like, that time that Teresa shook the table. And everybody's like, what?
Wow, shaka.
Today? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I would try. But I just came up with that right now based on how easy it was to guess your secret message.
Yeah, well, I don't watch Star Wars, so I'm not sure what you just said.
I hate you. That's what I said. I said I hate you.
I hate you. Shako when the walls fell.
That was fun.
Thank you.
I loved that trip down Spycraft Lane.
Spycraft history is fascinating, but also I'm glad that I don't have to do it because, as we've seen, I would not make a very effective spy.
You did a great job. You're an actor.
I was too obvious.
I did honestly doubt that you were blanking a message after you're like, no, I have something in my eye. And I was like, oh, he probably.
I just had to keep committing to it. That was the key.
That was good. You did great.
That was key. Thank you. Also, a lot of the times when I was blinking, it was gobbledygook to throw you off from when I was blinking a real message.
Wow, you're so smart.
Yeah.
Are you a spy?
Yeah. Hey, Trace, you want to check out what's inside this dead pigeon?
Whoa, fake nuts!
Tiny hidden knife.
I'll take a break and sew up my wounds, and we'll come back with another question.
That was welcome back in Morse code. Because we're back.
That was good. I like that.
Woo! Anyway, welcome back to the show. Now that Trace has cracked my cipher and I have been caught and summarily executed, it's Trace's turn.
To be executed? I'm confused by that lead-in.
No, I'm dead. I was beheaded.
Okay.
And now it's your turn.
So my question comes from Swamp Goat on Patreon, who asks, what if the world actually did revolve around a person? And they elaborate. The kid is at the age now where she's old enough to know how to keep herself alive without constant supervision. Congratulations. But still young enough that she needs help with basically everything. I get that. So we're constantly trying new ways to subtly suggest to her that the entire universe does not, in fact, revolve around her needs and emotions. But then I thought, what if yes? And then they go on. But before I read the rest of that, I also searched our database because we have so many questions to see if anybody else had asked a similar question. And someone else named Chris also asked this question. So, Chris, I'm going to answer yours too because it's the same question. But Chris elaborated to say, we often hear about people with large egos, that they think the world revolves around them. But what if it did? If the single person had the axis of the earth directly under their feet, what would that do to everyone? So obviously, both of these are similar ideas. And I thought about this for a while, and I was like, there are so many ways to take this question, and I'm trying to do something that isn't the obvious one. No offense to Chris, but that's like, if you say, what if the world revolves around somebody, and you're like, literally, you put them on the edge of the crust, and then it spins around them. We sort of talked about that in the Lego Sun episode. It would be bad, right? It would be bad.
As they moved around the Earth, I'm just picturing mass chaos, right? As the axis shifts around
all the time. Yeah, the axis is constantly moving, and even if it's not, the people on the other side of the planet from wherever the person is standing is, it's not going well for them, and the planet itself is having trouble holding together. Basically, everybody dies.
Yeah, if they didn't live at the North Pole, people would get cooked on one side of the planet, and frozen on the other. Yeah, there's a lot of issues with this. Yeah, or South Pole, they could live at the South.
They could live at the South Pole too, because what's the difference? Up is up.
What's at the South Pole? The anti-clause?
I guess we'll find out when we go there.
He's a man who breaks into houses and takes children's toys.
Takes their gifts in the middle of the summer. Wearing shorts.
On June 25th.
A skinny...
The anti-clause.
Basically, wait, did we just invent Waluigi?
The anti-clause is one
who breaks into your house in the summer and takes your stuff.
I like
it. And hates cookies and only eats vegetables.
Leave out cookies to scare away the anti-clause.
The Waluigi in the summer. Okay, so let me simplify, because astronomy is multi-layered. And if you were thinking about the Earth revolving around a single person, how I thought to try and freshen up this question a little bit is to think about the frame of reference that we're talking about. So when we talk about the moon as orbiting the Earth, for example.
Yes.
Does the moon orbit the Earth, Julian?
Okay.
Does the moon orbit the Earth?
How technical do you want to get?
The most.
Okay.
It's just a yes or no.
They orbit around a spot where their gravity's the center of their two masses, called the barycenter.
Correct. Yes. And so it is not strictly speaking true that the moon orbits the Earth, but it's easier to explain that way. It's the same thing that astronomers do all the time when, like, we don't actually orbit the sun. All of the planets, asteroids, the Oort cloud, everything that the sun has gravitational control over is all orbiting a similar, a barycenter of all the gravitational bodies in the entire solar system.
They're all attracted to each other.
But that's not all, because they're also all being attracted to other things that are also out in the universe, and all of that is changing. And so it's just so much easier to think of it this way. The last supernova we observed was in 1987, SN 1987A. It was in the Large Magellanic Cloud, not even in the Milky Way. We say that supernova happened in 1987, when it did not. It happened, millions of years before that. But it's just so much easier to say, no, that happened in 1987.
Yeah,
we categorize it by when the light arrived at us, not when the light was emitted. And we do this with every star, because every star is a different age and they're all at different distances. And, there's stuff in the way of some of them. And so it's just easier to say, this is when it happened, because that's when it got to us. So it's easier to simplify the system of Earth and Moon and just say, Moon orbits Earth. But in reality, you're totally correct. It's a Earth-Moon system, and their barycenter is about 4,680 kilometers from the center of the Earth, about 2,900 miles, which is fully within the Earth at all times, but it's about 74% the radius of the Earth. So we kind of wobble around this spot that's inside of our planet all the time. So an observer on Mars would see Earth displaced from the ideal elliptical orbit by as much as 3/8 of its diameter, if you think about it that way. So this pole and mutual orbit is what causes the tides, the slowing and lengthening of the day. It influences earthquakes, probably moonquakes as well. So the orbit is 27.3 days long. It's called a sidereal month. That's how you say that, by the way. It's not sidereal.
I always said sidereal. Thank you for correcting me.
I got into the astronomy world and they were like, it's sidereal, just, So that's the amount of time for the Earth and Moon to orbit that barycenter relative to the stars. And then there's the 29.5-day synodic month, which is the time from full moon to full moon again. So those are different, which is cool. All of this is described by the 3 laws of Johannes Kepler.
Love that guy.
It's really great. The 3 laws are: the orbit of the barycenter is an ellipse with the sun at one focus. The line from the center of the sun to the barycenter sweeps out equal areas and equal times. And the cube of the radius of the barycenter orbit is proportional to the square of the period. And you can use all of that to determine all of the different orbits of all the different things that you want to talk about. So even though the Earth-Moon barycenter is real in that we can calculate where it is, it's also imaginary, because that barycenter moves relative to the system that the Earth is also in, which is with the sun, Jupiter, and everything else. And so they are all kind of moving all the time. Mm-hmm. Now, how does this connect to Earth revolving around? To have the Earth perfectly revolve around you would kind of mean one of 2 things. One, you are currently at the barycenter. So reminder, 73% of the radius of the Earth, 6,378 kilometers, about 3963 miles. 73% of that puts you at the bottom of a hole, about 1,000 miles or 1,722 kilometers deep. Julian, from our live show at Smith College last year, what is the deepest hole? Don't say your mom.
What is
Kathleen is a saint.
That's
Don't
fine.
say her.
Listen, sometimes saints got to have a deep hole. That's okay.
Wow.
Jesus' hands were holy. Nobody brings that up, right? I just
want you to know, Roxanne is listening, Julian. She can hear you.
Always. Anyway, man-made or naturally occurring hole?
The man-made, the super deep borehole.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I don't remember too well, because once we record these, I delete them from my hard drive. But yeah, just got to make more space.
Got to make more space, or we're never going to remember anything. Not all of us can have the perfect memory for everything like a Hank Green does.
Oh, that's why he's special. It's some Soviet project, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the Kola super deep borehole.
That's right. Now I'm imagining the CIA dropping dead pigeons around there to figure out what's going on.
Be like, why are all these dead pigeons arriving around the borehole?
And yeah, right. And it's just messages that are like, hey, what's going on with that hole? What are you guys trying to do with that hole?
And Ivan, the janitor's just sweeping around the hole. And they're like, the hole's outside, Ivan. And he's like, but the pigeons.
The modern day hole I remember from doing this during our presentation is so unimpressive. It just like a little circle that they've capped off, like not even a manhole size. It's really small. And it's just like, there it is. The deepest human beings have ever bored into the earth.
Do you remember how deep it was? Or have you deleted that as well?
Oh, I don't remember the figure.
Yeah, it's 12 kilometers, a little more than that. About 12,262 meters. It was done in the 80s, but that's not even 1% of the way to the barycenter. So if you were going to have the Earth revolve around you, you would need to drill a lot deeper. We're looking, again, 1,700 kilometers. You're well below the crust of the Earth. You're into the lower mantle, which at this point means that you are not only crushed and melted, which is what I think people think of when they think of the mantle, right? You've got the crust, and then there's like a zone in between where the crust and the mantle kind of meet, and there's a lot of change going on. Then there's the upper mantle, and there's the lower mantle. So we're in the lower mantle. And you'd think, it's all hot, like molten rock. But that's not actually true. The pressures are so intense at that place that we're looking at basically all of your tissues, your bones, everything just denature. And like proteins aren't proteins. They're just molecules that are reacting with the geochemistry at that layer, becoming these simple inorganic molecules. So if you are sitting at the barycenter somehow in a magic bubble,
You wished on a cursed monkey paw to be the center of the world.
You do not want to.
The world revolves around.
It would be bad. It would be very bad.
You got warped there, and you got crushed and melted.
It would be awful. So I did say that this could mean two things. The other thing, so if you're not at the center of the barycenter, then you have to become the barycenter. You are the berry. So you wouldn't be the barycenter if you just became 100% the mass of the Earth. And even if you became 100.3% the mass, you would only have the equal mass of the two things that are already in the system. So the barycenter still would not be you. It would be a shared point between you, the Earth, and the moon, right? So if you really want to become the berry, I'm not going to do the math on the podcast, but you need to calculate your barycenter offset. So it's R1 equals A times M2 over M1 plus M2. It's the distance between the two bodies, the mass of the primary body, mass of the secondary body, rearrange and solve for the mass of the human, who is, say, close to the Earth. You could say a kilometer, you could say a meter. It matters, but it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to do all of the math for you. The answer is that you need more mass than the sun to take over the barycenter from the Earth-Moon system, which makes sense because the barycenter of the solar system is within the sun. So even if you ignored all of the other things in the solar system, you would essentially need enough mass to steal the barycenter from such a large system. And if you were human-sized with a solar mass, the Schwarzschild radius of the Earth is 9 millimeters. And so we're talking, human-sized with solar mass, you've created a black hole.
You're very, very, very dense. Yeah.
It's a quite dense black hole. So again, both of these, everybody dies TM. There's just no way to physically revolve around the Earth, become the barycenter, no matter how you think about that. You can't. The Earth is too big. But Swamp Goat did elaborate further, saying, what if it revolved around her in a different way? If she was on a merry-go-round, would I age faster? What would happen to seasons? Is it cloudy when she's sad and night when she's asleep? So more of like the solipsistic. I don't know this word. Solipsistic. I've only ever read it. I've never actually said it out loud. But so more of a solipsistic idea. Shinnin, like the Shinnin, or kind of pluribuscian, right? Where there's one super important person to everyone. And that person sets the agenda for the whole world. And I have to say, in this case, everybody dies TM, but in a different way, right? So let's just assume that this person is also named Barry, and she falls asleep. If everyone else has to sleep at that point, or it gets dark, or whatever, there's some major change, doesn't that mean planes crash? The cars crash? And plus, if you have to sleep when Barry is asleep, then you can't stock shelves on grocery stores. You can't, our society is built on the fact that some people are awake while other people are asleep so that everybody can get what they need done. If a fire starts while Barry is asleep, do the firefighters not wake up? Like, if Barry wakes up hungry, is everyone hungry? There are 9 billion people on the planet. The logistics of feeding everyone at the same time looks like, I don't know, I find this very depressing, but like when they make cheese sandwiches at like the 19 Kids and Counting house, and it's just like, I put bread and cheese and bread and I put it in the oven on a big thing, and now you have lunch, everyone. And I'm just like, this is so sad.
It's the Bruce Almighty documentary all over again, right? Where he's like overwhelmed with everybody's needs and he's just in charge of like Buffalo, New York.
Right. Yeah. They didn't even give him the whole thing. That said, doing taxes would be pretty fascinating if there was like one person.
I have to do my taxes. I've been putting it up. Oh, those taxes.
Yeah. Doing taxes.
Sorry, I forgot our metaphor. Yeah.
Doing taxes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, the problem here is the world functions based on people doing different things at different times. So if she went on a merry-go-round, would I age faster? If that were the case in whatever weird universe that she lived in, that Barry, but it would be worse if she flew on an airplane, and even worse if she went to space. But the amount of aging faster is so low.
Yeah.
That we're talking like nanoseconds.
You won't miss it. Let her ride that merry-go-round.
Right. If you're not familiar, by the way, it has to do with special relativity. And the faster you move, the slower time moves because everything is connected. And we know this is real because GPS satellites are moving so fast that they have to be corrected. Their atomic clocks on board have to be corrected regularly by, again, nanoseconds to make sure that GPS continues to work. It's also why on something like major catastrophic disaster in a movie, most things aren't just going to keep working, because it turns out you really have to keep on top of some of these clocks to make sure everything knows what time it is. Otherwise, stuff starts to get out of sync pretty quick. They also asked what happens to seasons. I don't know. You tell me. What happens to seasons, Swamp Goat? Like when Barry is sad if it rains, that's interesting. But like that could be a more interesting story to tell, because let's assume then the Earth evolved this way. That Barry isn't the center of the world so much as Barry is sort of like a Gaia figure who's always existed, and we just have one. And when that Barry dies, another Barry is anointed somewhere that, you know, like a Buddha that is always like a living Buddha and is the one that sets the agenda for the Earth. In which case, again, everybody dies because people don't like that. Somebody's going to either try and take it from Barry. They're going to try and hurt Barry. They're going to try and influence Barry.
There's going to be claims of a false Barry.
There'll be false Barrys.
The real Barry.
But it would be pretty cool, though. If you think about it in like a Miyazaki, like a beautiful kind of sense, it would mean that like some Barry would be born, and that Barry, they would cry or, you know, sleep when the Earth needed to have this happen, water to drink, and plants would need to breathe, and Barry would be in sync with all of that. And it would just be, sounds really kind of nice, actually. Again, though, could be very bad and pluribus-like, where if somebody were to like hit Barry over the head, you know, people could really get hurt. So anyway, bottom line, it's a fun question to think about, but I think there is another way to think about how the world revolves around a single person. And I think I could argue that this is already the case in one specific aspect of our lives, Julian. What do you think that would be?
A single person the whole world revolves around, and every decision they make impacts us enormously?
Yes, that's not what I meant, but I meant more if the world revolved around a single person, who is you?
I mean, I guess for everybody, it's themselves.
I'm thinking about algorithmically driven internet. The algorithmically driven internet is literally a universe of information that revolves around you and your choices.
That's an interesting way to think about it. Okay.
Yeah. So the filter bubble, which was coined in 2010 by Eli Pariser, or attention economy, describes how personalization algorithms create this, quote, unique universe of information for each user. The algorithm figures out what you like and then provides content that fits what that is and tunes itself to get it right. They wrote, your identity shapes your media. And we see this all the time today, where people are living in fractured versions of the same reality, where they literally do not share the same base facts because they don't see them. They don't ever have an overlapping reality because the world revolves around them, their interests, their choices. And I don't think this is probably blowing anybody's mind, but you don't even have to engage with content in order for an algorithm to know that you enjoy it. You don't even have to search for it. Everybody's like, oh, my phone listens to me. Your phone does not listen to you. All it does is have really good ad tech. If your friend told you about something, they probably Googled it. And every Facebook pixel on your phone knows what you did. So Instagram, WhatsApp, all of those things, they all know that you searched for something or you saw something on Facebook or your friend was talking about it.
You paused on something.
That's my favorite metric.
Maybe you didn't even interact it.
It's my favorite metric that people don't know exists. It's called dwell time. Because nothing that isn't on your screen exists. It's not there after you scroll down, and it wasn't there before you scrolled up. It was loaded from a computer because you scrolled up. It wasn't there before you got there. And so it's like, if you stop on a video or a photo or something, even momentarily, the algorithm knows that you did. You don't have to like it. You don't even really have to watch the whole thing, but they know that you dwelled on it. And that's important.
But what if I have like a sneeze attack? Like I'm going along and like professional wrestling content comes up, which like I'm no shame, but it's not my thing, you know?
They'll probably show you some more professional wrestling content.
And then it's just,
is that how you sneeze? This is
that's
very.
What do you do?
Anyway, Arrested Development was a great show. So all of this is happening all the time. And so if you sneeze while you're on a professional wrestling thing and you don't normally watch that content, the algorithm showed it to you, but then it'll show it to you again and you'll probably not, chances are you're not sneezing the second time. So you're just going to keep going and it'll learn that that's not interesting to you. And it does this all the time. Everything that you are scrolling does this to you all the time. So the question is, does this fulfill the answer to the question? Like, is the world already revolving around you, at least in this one way on the internet?
Digital world.
Right. I think it does, which is one of the things that we need to know when we're on the internet. Like the fact that when you scroll, again, it wasn't there until you pulled up on your screen and the computer decided to put it there because it thought they might continue to stay on our website if we could keep showing them things
the most important thing to them
that they like. But the Reuters Institute, they did a lit review and they found studies showing that reliance on search engines and social media is in most cases actually associated with more diverse news use. You essentially get more news opinions if you don't just like watch one show or read one newspaper. And the internet can do that, but it does require a person to not think that the world revolves around their views. So even if the world is revolving around you in that the algorithm is constantly adjusting for what you like and building for your preferences, you knowing that it doesn't or thinking that it doesn't and seeking out stuff that isn't just your algorithm is the way to win this. Because those people, they found in this study, this lit review, quote, a self-selection of the filter bubble is primarily among a small majority of highly partisan individuals. And this leads people to opt into echo chambers, even though the vast majority do not, which I found comforting. There are several papers that show narcissism and hyper-individuality is on the rise globally, not just in America, where I think we associate a lot of individualism.
Not me, I'm perfect. I can't be a narcissist.
What are you talking about? I'm perfect.
I'm perfect and you don't exist.
I'm perfect.
I'm the only perfect person.
They found, in fact, in a study from 1990 to 2013, that the narcissistic personality inventory showed Americans in their 20s were 3 times as likely as people over 60 to have experienced narcissistic personality disorder in their lifetimes. We are seeing it more, but knowing about it and knowing it exists, not just letting TikTok tell you what to watch, but you choosing what to watch is actually better. So anytime those news stories say children are going to social media to find news and everybody's horrified, that maybe isn't so bad as long as they're actively searching for news and they're not just opening their app and letting the scrolling, layback scrolling give them all of their world. Because if that's the case, it is basically a universe revolving around them, but not what they want in terms of an intellectual way, but like in their base level wants. They just want cat videos and like tasty videos and that's it. Then that is a really sad little world. And I think we still come back to everybody dies, personally.
Well, good news then.
Very good news.
We're all becoming narcissistic jerks, but at least everyone's going to die.
And we can all secretly talk to each other if we want by knocking on the wall.
Yes, so there is that. When you talk about, though, the rise of narcissism, I mean, I haven't read the study, so I don't know if they accounted for things like this, but it does make me think also, when people talk about like rates of other mental health issues or things like autism, right, where it's like, part of it might also be diagnostics are changing, right? And we're more... Yes. As Swamp Goat noticed, though, like, young kids are super self-centered, right? Because like they need everything done for them all the time. But also, I think they just don't have the mental capacity yet to like not make themselves the center of things. And so, as we mature, also like past our 20s, at least I've noticed for myself personally, like I feel like I care a lot more about other people's needs and wants, and like I'm much more mindful as I age. And I think that's just part of maturing too. Yeah. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom necessarily.
No, I totally agree. I don't want to end on a doom and gloom. I think there's something to be said for the development of a little kid. And I think I'm glad you brought it back to that, because there's this thing that I love to think about, which is actually ironic considering what it is, called the theory of mind. The theory of mind is so interesting to me because it's when we developed the ability to understand that you have a unique experience that is equally rich and varied as my own. Mm-hmm. And I realize that as a human being. Usually happens between the ages of 3 and 5. And it's a pretty important measure of intelligence to think about other people. The reason we have it is because if we didn't, everybody dies TM. So I think like we need it to survive. If we do not think about other people, we will all fail. And I think that is amazing to think about, that evolution was able for us, we developed this theory of mind and this idea that we could understand that other people have an amazing experience that is equal to us. And we can think about the fact that like we're metacognitioning our way to understanding that other people are important or as important as we are.
Have a different perspective. There's a famous experiment like developmental psychology called the Piaget mountain task, if you've heard of it, where like you take a little kid and like a stuffed doll on opposite sides of the table with like 3 different model mountain peaks, and you ask what it looks like to them, and like younger kids can't describe it from anything besides their perspective, right? And as they age, they get better at imagining what it's like for like the other thing. Or to bring it into my own life, when my chihuahua freaks out because the cat goes near her ball, and I'm like, Pepper, the cat doesn't care about your ball. And I always say to myself, I'm like, theory of mind. Pepper has no theory of mind.
Pepper
does not understand. To the cat, the ball is not important.
Do cats have theory of mind? Research suggests that cats are able to follow human directional cues without having to learn them first, and that cats have some understanding of the human perspective, supporting the idea that cats do have a theory of mind.
Well, Pepper doesn't, so.
Well, sorry, Pepper.
I'm sure about that.
So I think it's just important to remember that the biggest, fighter, if you will, of having a world revolve around a single person is to continue remembering that you are part of a whole society, a whole group. We have empathy for others. We can picture ourselves in their shoes. You can practice it and make it stronger in yourself. Imagine yourself, in the shoes of somebody you pass in the bus. Imagine you're watching the bus go by. I do this all the time. I find it to be a really fun exercise to try to put myself out in the world that I'm looking at and be like, what's it be like to sit in that car at this stoplight? What are they listening to? What are they talking about? What would it be like if I were inside that store looking out at all of the cars that are sitting here at the stoplight? Just picturing the world around us, it's valuable and it's cool for your brain, which I think is pretty awesome. Are you blinking a message at me again? What are you blinking? What are you blinking?
Yes, I've been blinking another secret message.
Oh, Julian. What are you blinking?
I did it like 7 times.
What are you blinking?
But you were talking. You had to read your notes, so it's not.
I had to
really
read my
fair.
notes. You were doing
it's not. But it's my only chance. I can't do it when I'm talking. It's too hard. I'm not good at Morse code.
What did you say?
Another secret message.
You a-hole. That's great. That's funny. Thanks again for listening to this episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. The show was created and written and produced by Julian Huguet.
That was "And" by Trace Dominguez in Morse code.
Cool. I don't think I'd ever heard my name in Morse code. Today's show was also produced and edited by the wonderful, and I bet you he understands Morse code, but also a bunch of other esoteric, Sanskrit, Kyle Sisk. He just gets it. The show was also associate produced by Sabrina Capello, who also runs our social media. We just hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. Woo!
And it's
excited
all
about
from Sabrina clowning us, which is great.
Yep,
she does
pretty
a good
much.
job.
So if you want to see our weird faces and also understand some of the stories a little bit better that we tell here, follow us on social media. You can find us at That's Absurd Show.
I love Sabrina's sense of humor. It's so goofy and weird. And every time she cooks
really
something
good.
up on the social media, I'm just like, do whatever you want, girl. Like, Godspeed. It's so funny.
Really funny. I don't know if I'll ever get over the mint juleps she gave us for that episode where we talked about the Kentucky Derby. It was really funny. Our music is thanks to Epidemic Sound. And we also have to thank the listeners who submitted questions featured in this episode, Art and Swamp Goat, and also bonus, Chris. If you want to submit a question, go down into the show notes. You can email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com. You can visit our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask. You can call us on the phone at 302-TAPE-SHOW. You cannot send us a Morse code. We will not get it.
I will not be able to decipher it. I am not skilled in that.
If you send us a video of you blinking, I will send it to Julian and force him to translate it. So please do that.
But if you want to send me a cask of beer with like a note, like an inconspicuous piece of blank paper floating at the top in a waterproof box,
you could do
then
that.
I will consider it. Yeah.
You could do that.
I'm okay with that.
We could not do this show without your questions, so we really appreciate you all sending them in.
We love your brains. You're all so strange and magical. Thank you over on our Patreon to all of our patrons for supporting the show, for voting on the poll that selected the 2 questions we used this week. We appreciate you supporting us over there and participating in the show. And of course, our absurd administrators at our highest tier. We thank you every single episode. Adam, Les, Austin, Jonathan, Dan, Sabrina the Brain, Hannah, Apothecary, and Christina, Atomic Straw, and Brian. Thank you so much for supporting. It lets us do fun things like the aforementioned live show that we did at Smith College. We should travel again. We should figure out what we're going to do next soon.
If anybody wants us to come to their college or their university, whatever it is, and do a live show, their event, if you have an event in your town, send it to us. We'll try and apply and see if we can do our podcast wherever you are. Yeah. And we'll thank you for sharing it.
We got that Patreon backing for the plane tickets. So
that's right.
Yeah. If you want to support us over on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/that'sabsurdshow. You can also leave us a review as a way of supporting the show on whatever preferred listening method that you use. They help people find the show. It helps that algorithmic feed push it to people. If it's like, oh, a lot of people are liking this, then the larger forces that put things in front of people are like, how about this dumb science comedy podcast? It helps us. So thank you.
We are actually being featured in a few places around the internet on Apple Podcasts right now. So if you're listening there, definitely give us a review to maybe we'll get featured in other places. It actually really does matter because it gets so many more eyeballs on the podcast. The biggest issue in podcasting in general, if you talk to any podcast person, is discovery, they call it, which is people finding your show. So share the show with a friend, tell your friends about it, share it on your social media, put it out there because we're doing that every single day. Sabrina is helping us do that. But you, the audience, are an even bigger part of the show. If you want to do that as well, we would really appreciate it.
And then you can develop a shared cipher for sending hidden messages if you and your friends all have a basis of the same information to talk about. Aaron Aronson is meaningless outside of the people who listen to this podcast, okay? It means nothing.
True. I mean, it is almost meaningless inside this podcast as well.
How dare you? He works hard at his mud hut.
At least now, Aaron Arison finally has a friend in Ivan the janitor at the Russian nuclear facility. So someday the two of them are going to have to meet.
Who keeps collecting dead birds?
Oi, why are you picking up that pigeon?
Oi, that's my pigeon. Also, thank you to those listening on Nebula. Nebula listeners get access to ad-free versions of episodes. They support us and other great independent creators that we ourselves are fans of. So you can go to go.nebula.tv/that'sabsurdshow to subscribe to that creator-owned platform. Well, Trace, what do we say at the end of every episode.
I think we know what the phrase of this show is. This episode. I like the spicy ones. What is it? How do
Why
I do
is
a
he
Russian
German
accent?
now?
Why is he German now?
I like the spicy pigeons, yeah?
I like the spicy pigeons. They're very good. Very tasty.
Be an East German spy.
Hey, Ivan. Ivan, where did you get the pigeon? The spicy ones.
You keep doing German. I keep finding spicy pigeons. It's my lucky day. Must be coming
like
out of giant hole in ground.
You sound like the Count a little
There
bit.
must be
One spicy pigeon.
one spicy pigeon. Is filled with tiny tape recorder. Now I can listen to Beatles. Thanks to pigeon tape recorder.
Those capitalist big dogs think of everything.
Oh no, birds aren't real. All pigeons used for spies.
Wow. We'll see you next week, everybody, with another episode of whatever the heck we just did.